After 30 years of backpacking, I've tried just about every cooking system you can imagine. Alcohol, white gas, canister, jet-powered, you name it. But here's the truth that nobody seems to be talking about. Once you find a system that works for you, you stop looking for anything else and you start trusting the gear you have. Today I'm showing you the exact system that I've used over the many years. The one system I've never felt the need to replace. Hey guys, and welcome back to your Trail Buddy. If you've been backpacking long enough, you know this. Gear trends come and go. There's always a new ultralight stove, a new titanium pot shape, and a new magical fuel efficiency claim. But over the last 3 decades of being out on the trail, from Colorado winters to long summer fast packs, one cooking system has stayed with me. Not because it's the lightest on the market, and not because it's the newest. It's because it works every single time. My system's simple. It's not flashy. It's also not the ultralight cult favorite, but it's reliable. It's fast, it packs small, and it handles the kind of weather situations that I run into when I get out into the mountains. And even though I do switch to other stoves in certain situations, like the deep parts of the winter, or if large groups go out with me, or even if I get up into the high altitudes. But any other times, this system is what I use 90% of the time. So let's get into it and show you what all I've got. So you can see it packs down to pretty small and easily space here. And we'll get into some of the weights and other things here for it. But what I have here is a canister stove. And so I've got a canister of fuel. And I typically carry the small canister. You can buy the bigger canisters if you're going out with bigger groups. I buy the bigger canisters a lot of times because they end up being cheaper sometimes than the smaller canisters. And then I use those to refill the small canisters. I've got a connector that can do that, that I've talked about in one of my other videos as well. But typically I will utilize these, and you can kind of judge on how much you need, and you can weigh them in order to tell how much fuel you need to make sure that you have when you're going out. And then of course, to go with the canister fuel, I have of course a canister stove. And so here I have the Pocket Rocket, the MSR Pocket Rocket. I don't really have any major claims on that this one's so much better than others. If I'm honest, really, this is the only real canister stove that I've ever had to try because it's just been tried and true for me. There are a lot of other ones out there, and one of these days I think I'll try to buy a couple of the others just so I can test them out to show you guys. But I don't really need to be looking to upgrade anything else from what I've had because this thing just works so well. Weight-wise, it's actually about 2.5 ounces for the stove itself, so it's super lightweight, and it's pretty easy to be able to handle. And so you just take the stove and screw it on the canister. And then it's easy to operate as you're going along. You literally just turn here to be able to turn the fuel on and have it going, and hit it with a lighter and light that sucker up, and it'll get going, which is, of course, I also have a lighter in here. Now, I will be honest, normally I have the mini Bic because I like to save my ounces and stuff for my ultralight fans out there. But recently my mini Bic finally, after many years, ran out of fuel. And I didn't seem to have an extra one around the house. So for now I'm dealing with the big Bic until I can find a store with the mini Bics in it again. Then as you go into here, I have a Toaks titanium cup. Now another thing similar to that I didn't mention on the stove. So there are a lot of other models nowadays. So when I first got this one, this was many years ago. It was one of the better brands at the time for it. But now there's so many other brands that are getting rave reviews out there. And so you don't really, if you're new to backpacking, you don't need to spend the money if you don't have to get the MSR, even though it's a well-known brand and comes with a lot of respect to that name brand. But there are also some other companies that are starting to get some names for themselves as well that are a little bit cheaper. So like you can go on to Amazon, and there's a couple cheaper options on Amazon, and then also there's a cheaper model on Garage Grown Gear that you can get for like 20 bucks as well. So you don't have to spend a lot of money to get one of those. Same way with the titanium cups. The Toaks has been a known, trusted company for a lot of backpackers throughout the years, but there's a lot of other competitors out there nowadays. I mean, there's so many different types of titanium cups that you can find with so many different models and styles. This particular one is the 550 milliliter version, and it weighs about 2.5 ounces as well. I know a lot of people, that I watch in some of the other YouTube channels, they use some of the bigger ones. I think that even some of the favorites, it seems to be amongst a lot of the viewers, is like the 750 milliliter, because it'll give you a little bit more. This one here seems to give me, it gives me plenty enough to be able to boil water for my dehydrated meals. But if I'm doing it for two, maybe depending on the meals, I can get enough water for both of us in this one, but you're definitely not going to do enough to where you've got enough water and then you're going to have enough water left over for, say, some coffee or something, or hot tea. For me, I typically I will boil up my water for my food, and then while I'm waiting for my food to rehydrate, I will a lot of times put another thing of water on and boil it up if I want some coffee or hot tea, if I want a warm drink in the afternoons. But for me, this has been really well. It's super lightweight. As you can see, it's kind of got its own handle. I will be honest though to you on it, because of how small this one is compared to some of the bigger ones. A lot of times that flame will get and it'll heat up that handle, and so you're going to want to have something to grab that handle with. You don't really want to get it getting hot and just grab it by itself. The pot itself does also come with a top that comes with it. Not necessarily my favorite on the tops. These things are a little odd to have to deal with that little bitty thing there for it. I mean, you can use, a spoon to be able to take off the top, so that you're not dealing if you've got steam coming out of it or something like that for that. But there are other options out there. There are a couple cool things I've seen on Garage Grown Gear that I actually want to get, but they seem to always be out of stock on some of those things. But they've got a couple things that people have made and 3D printed some things to be able to put on top of this that I think could be some nice options to be able to add to my kit. But as you can see, this sits pretty well on the kit there. The other nice thing about this stove is if I did decide that I wanted to go out with a bigger group and we wanted to split some of that gear between us, we could, step that up a little bit further and move to something like this. And this here, you got to see the Summit. This one's a 1.2 liter pot. And so you could do something like that. That'll give you a little bit more. So then this one would potentially be able to get you a little bit more water to where you would have enough to rehydrate multiple meals and maybe have some tea and stuff for it too. But I don't typically carry this one when it's just me and myself going out. And then the last thing on my list of things that I take is my titanium spoon. I like the long handle spoons. This one in particular I got from Outdoor Vitals. But you can find these everywhere. I mean, Walmart's got them nowadays. Amazon's got them. Almost any ultralight gear company has got them. And so you can find these pretty much anywhere. But I like the long handle spoon because I eat a lot of the dehydrated, rehydrated meals. And then also maybe if if I'm eating out of a peanut butter cup or something like that, out on the trail, I just like to be able to reach down in there and get for those. And so this thing is super light. It's only like half an ounce for that. And then the whole system that I had just kind of came with this little bag here. This came with the Toaks pot that I bought, which worked out really well because now I can take it all, and like I said, it just really packs up really well. So I put the lid there in the bottom, and then I can fold it up, put the pot in, take off my canister stove, fold it back up, toss it and the lighter in the bottom, take your canister, stick it on the top, and then it cinches right up, holds it all in there really well, and voila. That in itself is amazing setup. So not counting the fuel, let's see here. Well, or how about, let's take the fuel canister out, because a lot of times you don't count that in your weights because you're going to control your fuel sizes. But not counting the fuel, this entire setup here comes to just over 6 ounces. So That's super lightweight. I mean, there are definitely some other lighter weight options out there. You can look at things like alcohol stoves. A lot of people in the ultralight community are even going to stoveless and actually doing cold soaks. I just really like, after a really long day of hiking, I like a hot meal at the end of the day. And so for me, this has been an amazing setup that gives me a balance between being the most lightweight and convenient and being able to actually be tried and true and do what I need it to do. A canister stove really burns hot. It's gonna boil water a lot faster than, say, an alcohol stove could do. And it's just tried and true and trusted, even in wind conditions. Yeah, you'll have some effects and stuff that wind will have on it, but it still does really well. So that's it. That is the cooking system that I've landed on after 30 years of backpacking. And if I'm honest, right now, I'm not looking at any way to upgrade this system because it works really well for me. It might not win every ultralight spreadsheet battle, and I might actually get some comments from some folks that talk about that they wouldn't consider this ultralight. And it might not be the coolest new trend, but it is the most reliable system that I've used over the years. But it's never failed me. And as I mentioned, I'm not really looking at any reason of upgrading unless something just completely mind-blowingly revolutionary comes out in the future. Now, if you're building out your ultralight system, the next part of your gear set that you need to be looking at is your sleep system. So check out this video over here where I talk about what I use, what works, what doesn't, and what keeps me warm when I'm out backpacking in those Colorado mountain nights. Thanks for hanging out with me today. Hopefully this was useful for you, and hopefully I see you guys out on the trail.